provided. You all need to equip with required skills. So we, the team of MP Mirji College and Global Business School, organized a webinar for the answering the question, what next after your commerce education. Dr. Prasad Dadikar sir will take the session on career opportunities in commerce and management education. Dr. Prasad Dadikar sir is UGC NET qualified finance faculty and director at Bartish Global Business School, Belgavi. He holds Master of Business Administration in Finance and also PhD in Financial Econometrics from University of Mysore. He was awarded with scholarship for top rank in PGCET by Department Studies in Business Administration, University of Mysore. He is expert in risk management, financial econometrics, form evaluation, and he is teaching interest encompass derivatives, mergers and acquisition, capital building, and data analytics. He is a resource person.
Thank Professor Dr. Nirmala ma'am, Principal of Mahavir P. Mirji College of Commerce, Nagvini ma'am, IQAC Coordinator, and Dr. Bharat sir for giving this opportunity and making it possible to have this webinar to the students of Commerce and Management. We would extremely apologize for the delay in starting this session on grounds of technical and this Google Meet configuration, but we ensure the session for the next 45 minutes to 1 hour would give you the enlightening aspects about career scope and opportunities in the commerce and management stream. So with this brief aspect, I welcome and thank all the participants for joining this session. And if you got any query, if you got to comment anything, you can use always this chat window and you can do so. And as we go along, we'll have a discussion on this webinar session on career opportunities in commerce and management. I have developed this webinar session in this segments, wherein we'll give a brief introductory aspect about commerce and management education, its qualification framework requirements. Then we'll look at post undergraduation and post graduation, what are the career opportunities. Then even we look across at the professional career opportunities available to both the domains. And lastly, we look across at the new generation career opportunities which have come across due to Industrial Revolution 4.0 and the new generation information technology and artificial intelligence as such. And lastly, we'll conclude with a question answer and your comments on the overall outlook of this session. So this would be the introductory aspect, and this is how we try to further focus in the webinar session. So I'll not discuss much about what is the evolution and what are the fundamentals and all, but basically both commerce and management education, they are the outcome of economics, because it is assumed to be the school of social sciences, wherein economics is at the core of its discussion, and it has been further divided and progressed into commerce and management field. Though they have defined their specific knowledge, skills, and attitude requirements, but ultimately, as a holistic perspective, this social science helps to us in order to develop business, society, and overall country's economic, social development and growth across the three domains as such. So commerce education is considering development in terms of knowledge, skills, and attitudes, and it is all related to the trade, commerce, and industry, because we have studied and even we have come across the commerce education deals with the trade and industry, And basically, it is not only about the accounting and costing, what narrowly some people have defined the scope of commerce, but in today's present context, commerce education has got a holistic approach, and it is even encompassing the new practices and principles of modern business in the globalized context as such. So this is what about KSA, that is knowledge, skills, and attitudes. And you take up any education domain, or you take up any education fraternity, KSA is going to be important. And looking at the new education policy, we are witnessing the importance of KSA in days to come. Later, I shall be discussing about the NSQ, that is National Skills Qualification Framework, which lays emphasis on these three domain areas of knowledge development, skill enhancements, and attitude expression for the mutual betterment as such. Going further, in the recent era, commerce education is associated and emerged in the form of chartered accountancy, costs and works accountancy, company secretaryship, and business administration. So these are the four pillars of the modern commerce education in the present context. And in days to come, commerce education has going to assumed as a professional career and professional education like engineering or medical or architecture or management, because it is no more generic education, it is a professional education, not only in the national but even at the international context as such. So this is what the emerging role we have witnessed in terms of commerce education. Then what commerce school need to do? Because as we mentioned, the role of commerce education has emerged as a professional education, and it is trying to equip, trying to create managers and leaders in the emerging commerce trends. And what are the dynamic challenges and opportunities the business world has put forward to us? So it is all about the government reforms and the policy changes what we have been witnessing over the past 25 years. Why are we considering 25 years? Because soon after LPG, that is liberalization, privatization, globalization, from 1991 till date, we have witnessed a rapid and breakthrough reforms and policy changes. And these policy changes have made our country to grow, develop, and have a rapid expansion in the last 25 years or so. Because in the initial era, from 1947 to 1991, we were in a close restricted economic reform, and commerce and trade were also having its own limitation. But in the present context, new reforms and new policy changes have brought in a lot of opportunities and at the same time dynamic challenges before commerce and management graduates. Further, we are witnessing globalization of financial markets. It is no more restricted to, say, our Indian stock markets or Indian money markets or in general Indian financial market and system, but we are also affected and integrated with the global financial markets and system, because we are living in an era where globalization is playing important role. And in order to make things happen, in order to make integration and holistic development, these financial markets are playing important role into it. And both management and commerce students have got great opportunities in the financial markets to make a career out of it. Further, the role of foreign institutional investors and foreign direct investment is making way in India. And if you look across, for the last 5 years, our foreign direct investment and foreign institutional investment has gone to the peak levels of all time. And it is all because of, say, business friendly and trade and commerce oriented policies and reforms what the government has done. And with FI and FDI, we are trying to witness entry of multinational companies in India, and they are trying to create many local jobs in order to have better career employment and in order to supplement socialistic development of economic and employment creation. So the recent trend in the stock markets and in the establishment of greenfield and brownfield industries has taken up more job creations in India. I think the recent last 2 days itself, Amazon has committed about new jobs to the extent of 20,000, and it is again part and parcel of this FDI what Amazon is trying to bring in days to come. Then the role of international agencies like International Monetary Fund and World Bank do matter, because their policies, their implications also affect our economic and employment opportunities as such. So IMF and World Bank, they are the global banks and global financial institutions to provide financial and monetary assistance to developing and underdeveloped countries, and that would help in creating more and more job opportunities in our country as such. Further going, it is mergers and acquisitions and cross-border collaboration, joint ventures. So these things are also playing a significant role in creating, say, new career opportunities. And if you take a look at the Indian context, we have witnessed many multinational companies are coming to India to have a collaborative approach, and in return they're trying to bring in more career opportunities to the local youth as such. If you throw a light on the recent development with the Reliance Industries, so what did Reliance has done in the last 3 months or so? They were able to have say cross-border collaboration, mergers, and some sort of joint ventures, and they raised capital worth of more than 1 lakh crore. And this is example of one country, but in days to come also, our Indian government, they are also trying to have mergers and acquisition, cross-border collaboration for the creation of capital, and this capital will create more job opportunities, industrial hubs, and service-oriented opportunities to the youth as such. So that was what all about the dynamics of the world market and all. Now, considering by some research, we would say in days to come, there is going to be a huge demand and aspiration for the commerce education. So both commerce and management education altogether, they try to make more than 100 million in the next few years. And it is all account of service-led economy in the knowledge era. And this is going to create a huge scope of careers and jobs in Indian market for the commerce graduates and management graduates as such. So this is what the outlook of the commerce education. Looking at management education, as we said, it is professional and it is higher education. Why are we saying higher education? The reason is, as per the UGC and AICTE NSQF, that is National Skill Qualification Framework, we have got 10 levels, and if you're able to complete 7 levels, and the 7th level is all about your bachelor's program or undergraduation, because the level 1 starts with the elementary education. As we develop and progress till the 7th, it comes to your bachelor's level degree. The next 8th and 9th level of NSQF deals with post-graduation, and finally the 10th level deals with the doctoral degree. So this is how this qualification matrix has been given, and the moment you enter the UG or the bachelor's program, you are into the higher education, and subsequently you have got 2 more stages of master's and doctoral to complete it. To make it possible, we have to consider this higher education domain accordingly. So what is again the scope and relevancy of management education? So this management education is still, and even in the foresight future, trying to develop the business leaders, managers, and administrators for the development and benefit of trade, commerce, and business organizations as such. So again, it revolves around knowledge, skills, and attitude. As we discussed in the commerce domain, even in the management domain, this KSA plays important role. And as we consider what are the KSAs applicable to management education, it is all about functional competency skills, problem solving skills, people skills, and reflective skills. Now, what do you mean by these functional competency skills? I think BBA, MBA, or even BCom and MCom students, you have come across a definition of management. And management education or commerce education, they say it is more about, say, jack of all fields. But as we go along and as we proceed further, the functional competency in the relevant area, because our old notion and old thought, commerce education means it is all about accountancy and costing. But when it comes to overall holistic view, we assume it is not only about commerce, that is accountancy and costing, it is beyond that. So in that context also, management education is functional because you pursue management education with reference to marketing, finance, HR, systems, operations, entrepreneurship, family business, etc. So we have to develop our functional competency, and that will give us the opportunity to enter into the corporate world. As we said, we are all knowledge workers, and our main job is to solve the problem. And the problem solving skills, nothing but decision making at the right time, at the right context. And to do this, your knowledge, your attitude, and your skills will bring in that holistic approach as such. So problem solving, we have to do, and we have to make it as our prime job of business management professionals as such. So this is what management education thinks of from the problem solving perspective. Then why do we need people skills? The reason is we have got organizations with large number of employees, and you being the, because you're going to be a manager or associate, and as we develop, you're going to become the chief officers of your organization. So in that regard, in order to make the progression, and it should be a holistic progression, you have to have people skills. And these people skills are nothing but how do you manage, how do you motivate, and how do you get the work done with your fellow human resource. Because in the present context, your capital, your machinery, these are assumed to be passive resources, but the human capital or the human resource what we have got is the active, and that is creating lot of wealth and opportunities for your organization, because it is assumed to be new assets of your organizations in the new generation. And lastly, reflective skills are nothing but how professionally and how ethically are you following and practicing your activities in your organization or at your business. Because we have witnessed people are running the businesses with different motive, but greed will make your business organizations suffer in the long run. And the examples like your Enron or the Satyam Computers were the reflective of bad skills. So as a manager, as a leader of your organization, you have to have reflective skills which are professional, ethical, transparent, and giving the confidence to the society and to the stakeholder in a positive manner. So these are the skills what management graduates would like to inculcate, and they want to develop their KSA for the betterment of their career and employment opportunities. A brief outlook, management education was started way back in 50s, 60s. By 60s, we became the leader in this field. And today, our country has got largest B schools as well as commerce and social science universities and institutions in the world. And that shows the people's inclination towards this domain for the careerment and progression of their life as such. What is hidden in the future of management education? So as we said, and even it is said in the different domains and different contexts, technology and industry 4.0, that is the fourth revolution of industry, is going to make foray into management as well as in general in the economical context. We have witnessed 3 industrial revolutions, and right now we are going through this 4th industrial revolution, and it is all about technology, it is all about automation, and it is all about new generation job opportunities and business practices. So if you consider industry 4.0 and technology, so you must have come across certain terms like artificial intelligence, machine learning, augmented reality, virtual reality, mobile apps, and big data analytics. So these are the emerging areas, and these are the areas or domains wherein lot of career opportunities are available. Later we shall be having a detailed discussion on the upcoming career opportunities, but these terms and these aspects makes industry 4.0 and the future of business and economical context in the given country. And India has got prosperous human resource because more than 60% or our youth belongs to that young age category with higher level of literacy in days to come, and we will be the front runners in days to come in these areas to develop not only the national but even the international markets with our knowledge and with our learned youth and population as such. So this is what the management education and commerce education is witnessing in the present context. So as we mentioned, the new education policy will be implemented this year. It has been delayed due to this health issue and certain policy norms. But in days to come, the new education policy will be based on standards. And what are the standards? It will be the outcomes for students' learning. And how do we measure? How do we define them? It will be defined with the help of UGC and AICTE given NSQF, that is National Skill Qualification Framework. So no doubt your formal education is important, but it is not only about information and your data. So it will be more about practice, more about skilling, and more about having a positive and confident attitude to take up the challenges and new opportunities as such. So we mentioned our NSQF is having 10 levels, and we have reached at the 7th level. The moment you enter into your UG program, you will be at the 5th level. You complete first year, second year, third year, you will be progressing from the 5th level to 6th, from 6th to 7th. So at the 7th level, it is assumed that you have completed your graduation with Bachelor's of Commerce or Bachelor's of Business Administration or Business Management as such, as the nomenclature takes place. And it's applicable to even other bachelor program also. And the next 8th and 9th level of NSQF or the learning outcome is devoted to master's or your post-graduation. So it is irrespective of any post-graduation, like say the MCOM or MBA or MCA or MSW or any other master's degree. And lastly, the 10th level deals with the doctoral, that is the PhD. So depending upon your educational and learning aspirations, you can proceed further and you can develop your national qualification framework level as such. So this is going to make the changes in days to come. And why is it necessitated? It is all because of global economical trend and best practices happening in the Western industrial context and surge of information technology in the business and in the economical context. And this makes higher education is essential, and not only for the personal and professional growth, but even for your lifelong progression. The reason career is said to be any occupation of interest based upon your skills, based upon your knowledge, and based upon your competencies to engage yourself for productive activity. And with this productive engagement, you're going to get a better reward for your engagement. And if you choose wisely your skills and your education requirements, then you'll be having ample of job opportunities as you progress or as we go along. So these makes the importance and significance of commerce and management education in general. One more thing about commerce and management education in this part of the country, that is Karnataka or South India, we don't have honors program like the north states like say Delhi, Punjab or UP. They offer honors program at bachelor's level, and those are highly competent and rated at national and international level. Based upon those aspects, even our university is also considering a reframing of the syllabus and its content towards outcome-based learning, because ultimately efforts are going to be counted when it matches with the results, because today's world is all about result oriented, and if you give results based upon your efforts which are backed by your skills and your knowledge, then obviously you will be progressing ahead in your career rapidly. So this is the brief outlook about an introduction to your commerce and management education. And on paper and in contextual view, we say it is separate, but when you take into actual application, both are complementing each other, and they require association of each other to develop in the business as well as in the broad economical context. So this is a brief outlook about and the introduction about commerce and management. Now going further, this career or job opportunities. Basically, we are dealing with undergraduate, that is your bachelor's program and your master's program. Though we have got more of participants from the UG or bachelor's perspective, but still you can have a perspective on what are the career opportunities available to the PG also. So we have got broad framework, like say we have got public service employment or career opportunities, we have got private sector employment opportunities, we have got banking sector employment opportunities, and we have got the professional job opportunities as such. So when we look at this public services employment, so I think couple of you are must be preparing or must be undergoing training and coaching for your public service examinations. Basically, your IAS or KS, these are the two common terms when it comes to the public service employment. But apart from this, there are so many other public service examinations and boards. They give employment opportunities. And we have to explore these areas because in the present context, our country needs people with these skills and competencies to be the professional administrative officers to provide better service to the society at large. So this Union Public Service Commission, UPSC, so it is all about your administrative services of central government, that is Union Public Service. So term itself says it is central government related. So you have to go through the UPSC examination, and it has got its various stages of assessment, and you all are eligible for it because you have completed your or at the verge of completing your graduation. And the basic criteria they assume as undergraduation with about 55 or 60% accordingly, but altogether we can say graduation with 60% are available and applicable to all these public service employment opportunities. And you have to take up the preliminary, mains, and the interviews. That is how the flow goes for the UPSC employment opportunities. And in the present context, the things have changed because we had a notion that it is all about say non-merit based employment and all. But today, if you look at the trend, the people who are coming out with the flying colors and all, so they are even from the small places and tier 2 cities. It is not only that people from metro cities and all making it to it, or people from north are making to it. So only thing you have to prepare, you have to dedicate yourself, and your sincere efforts will obviously bring the novel results as such. So SPSC, that is State Public Service Commission, that is say in Karnataka it is KPSC, that is Karnataka Public Service Commission, and obviously all the official jobs will be considered using this examination, and we have got a lot of opportunities at this state level administrative offices also. The next is the Staff Selection Commission, and it is CGL, that is Combined Graduation Level. So we have heard about income tax officers, excise officers. So these job opportunities are applicable and available through this SSC CGL, that is that is Staff Service Commission, and it is Combined Graduation Level Examination. Then IPS, it is all about your police service, and you can also consider this based upon your interest into this public service as such. The less explored and less known areas are RRB, that is Railway Recruitment Board, wherein we presume railway require technical people, or we require people only from engineering or diploma background. But they have got RRB non-technical recruitment, that is NTR, non-technical recruitment section, wherein they require officers to perform railway administrative services. We have seen the railway officers job, not only ticket collector or ticket issuer, but there are so many other official jobs which are taking place to run the Indian Railway, because Indian Railway is presumed to be the largest employer in India and even in the world. So they require officers with graduation in commerce and management, and this is also happening on a regular occasions. IFS, that is Indian Forest Services and Indian Foreign Services. So this is also an added career opportunity available to the students, because for forest services and all, they presume only BSc or basic science graduates are required, but it is not. But even commerce and management graduates are also required at forest and foreign services as such. The next two CDA, that is this Combined Defense Services, and IDA, that is Indian Defense Accounting section. So these two require specifically commerce graduates and even other graduates with the specializations in costing and taxation. So these are the few and most important public service employment opportunities available to the undergraduate students. This is just exclusively, it is not the end to it. So we have got so many other public service employment opportunities. Those we are not trying to explore because of time constraints and limitation of our resources as such. But still, you can explore the opportunities as we go along. So this is all part and parcel of the public services, employment opportunities and career scope under UG level. When we go further, bank employment, and it is both public as well as private, or even I would say foreign banks also. Here, even you can consider cooperative banks, cooperative societies and other, but still we try to bring it a broader perspective and discuss the opportunities as such. So banking is another sector, another area wherein lot of career opportunities have been opened up, and especially in the last 2 years or so, we had many opportunities in the bank probationary officer and officer level cadre. The reason was the people who were employed by the banks in early 80s and late 70s, they're at the verge of their retirement or they're offering voluntary retirement scheme. But banks require people, they require employees to run their businesses. So in the last 2 years or so, we have seen almost nationalized banks have come up with more than 10,000 probationary officer opportunities. And even in days to come also, there will be many more opportunities in the probationary as well as special and officer level cadre in the banking sector. Um, Reserve Bank of India, the Central Bank of India, do require employees, and they have got special officer level recruitment, and that is also happening through national level competitive examination. If you take up all these four, they are done at national level with competitive examination, and it is all merit based. It is all based on the competitiveness what we have done at our graduation level and even in the entrance examination. So RBI require officers in order to have risk management analysis, treasury management, monetary policy analysis, etc. The probationary officer PO is the most common and sought after employment in the banking sector, and it is giving lot of opportunities. And unlike we had a notion, bank is spread across throughout the country, and we may have to relocate and all. But it is not the context now. The banks are giving the local area preference so that the cultural diversity along with the customers could be maintained. So you have got ample of opportunities in this probationary officer cadre as such. Special officers in the bank, again, as we said, we have got risk assessors, we have got treasury managers, we have got security managers. So all these are the special officers we require in the banking sector to make employment opportunities. And again, all these are done on a regular basis with a competitive examination. The next, generic officers and clerical cadre, it is the common employment opportunity in the banking sector, what we have witnessed in the last couple of years or such. But all these exams are having the basic minimum educational qualification like undergraduation from a recognized university with minimum of 60%. Why 60% we say? Because if they have got large number of candidates, then they put across this limitation of cutoff, and the cutoff will keep you in the race in order to have better career opportunities in the banking sector as such. So this is all about the bank employment. But apart from this, your private banks, foreign banks, they are preferring commerce and management graduates with post graduation, because if you take up ICICI, SDFC and all, so no doubt they give employment opportunities to UG students, but it is more specifically non-payroll on their organization, and preference will be given to post graduations because of their policy and because of their recruitment conditions as such. But still, we have got employment opportunities even in public, private and foreign banks as well as. So this is about the banking employment opportunities. Further, we have got public sector employment. Now here we try to distinguish between public and private sector. Now public sector employment here, I mean the companies, the organizations which are owned, run and managed by either central government or state government. We have come across terms called as PSU, that is public sector undertaking, and PSC, public sector enterprise. If I name Indian Oil Corporation, Bharat Petroleum, Bharat Heavy Electricals, or ONGC, NTPC, etc. So these all are nothing but public sector enterprises or public sector entities, and these are owned, managed by central and state government. State government, again, if you take up the state electricity boards, the milk cooperative societies, and like say in Karnataka, this BHEL and HAL. So these are the owned and managed by the state government entities. So in these organizations, we require accounts officers, and these accounts officers are also selected on the competitive examination basis and written and interview basis activities. So in these organizations, like say, we have come across terms called as Navratnas, Maharatnas, Mini Ratnas. So these are nothing but public sector enterprises owned by central government and the state government. So accounts officers are required in these organizations on a continual basis. Then the next public sector is what your Central Board of Direct Tax, that is Income Tax Department. So we require tax officers in CBDT, and no doubt from your SSC, but even on ad hoc basis, these organizations call for specialized recruitment for the tax officers on a regular occasions. Indian Post Office Services, they require officers at the different cadre, and they have got their own recruitment policy. And again, the basic requirement becomes the graduation from a recognized university. Next, we have got Life Insurance Corporation of India. Here, I have only mentioned about life insurance, but if you consider general insurance companies also, like say this National Assurance Company or General Insurance Company of India, so even they do require this associate and assistant accounts and administrative officer, that is AAO. And these people are also recruited based upon the competitive examination done at a specific level based upon the regular and routine recruitment policy. So this is the next field wherein the commerce and management graduates can pursue their career opportunities. And again, it is government job. And here again, the merit comes on priority in the present context, because there were days wherein non-merit was given preference and recruitment was done. But today it is completely transparent, because in certain context, the exams are done online, and that brings in the competitive spirit and the transparency among the stakeholders as such. So this is about the public sector employment opportunities applicable to the candidates. The next most important, and it is said to be the highest job creating entity, that is private sector employment opportunities. Now here, private sector employment opportunity refers to all those business organizations which are owned, run by the professional managers. We don't have any ownership or any kind of stakeholding capacity of state or central government. Only they are going to be the regulators, but things of business are managed by your private entities. And again, it is proprietorship, partnership, cooperative, joint stock, or incorporated. All these things we have taken it into private sector employment. And in the Indian context, if you take up the labor reports and all, so more than 70% of the job opportunities are created by the private sector in our country. Now, what are the career opportunities? So we have got accounts executives and officers as job opportunities. Then we have got business analysts as job opportunities. Now, business analysts are going to follow a role of kind of a consultant, and he would be doing his career and job based upon the functional competency and specialization he has purchased. Like say, if he's from marketing background, then something related to marketing. If it is from costing and finance, related to that domain. So business analysts are doing that respective activity in their domain. Financial analysts, they are part of your corporate finance department, wherein they're helping in order to make provision of budgets, make the provision of your financial statements and fundraising activities and analysis as such. Audit analyst, because of regulatory and statutory requirement, auditors are becoming important, and we have to have in-house auditors to give the transparent aspect to the stakeholders as such. Then further, if you look at stockbrokers and tax consultants, so these are also upcoming and traditional jobs what we have got with the brokering houses and consultant. So the BCom and BBA candidate with a valid stock market certification from SEBI or NSE or BSE, they can become a stockbroker or a dealer, and they can pursue their career in this field, because We have got lot many stockbroking entities and investment banking activities. So those would observe these people for their requirement. Tax consultants, as we said, it is a specific domain to manage personal as well as corporate level tax and give companies and private entities suggestions and guidance onto it. So the tax consultants and insurance consultants. So these people help individuals to manage their wealth, to manage their monetary resources properly. Then in the international trade practice, import-export managers we require because trading in the international context require a lot of documentation, and people with commerce, costing, accounting, and management students are well versed with documentation part and form filling activity. So they could be absorbed as export-import managers or export-import associates in the companies which are related to international trade and import-export business activities. The next generic opportunity is about office administrative, that is office superintendent or office in charge, and they'll be looking after all generic activities of your business organization. It ranges from your salary slip management till all other administrative activities what these people do it in the organization. The next is business process outsourcing, that is process executives at UG level, and at the next level it will be about associates and partners as such. So BPO, the terminology is quite familiar, and this sector has created a rapid and large employment opportunities in last couple of years, and it is all outcome of globalization and outsourcing of work to India by the Western multinational companies as such. So we have got different processes in this regard, and we deal with the accounting, we deal with the insurance, we deal with the risk management. So various processes are there in the BPO. And if you name, like say, Infosys or TCS or Wipro, so these are not only software companies, even they have got their arms in the BPO. So even why non-technical or non-engineering graduates are recruited by these companies, it is due to this BPO and KPO, which we shall be discussing again later in the next slides along. So BPO sector is also giving a lot of opportunities to the undergraduates as such. KYC, that is your process executives. As per the new norms and regulations of SEBI and income tax, the customer document verification has become very important aspect. And KYC is nothing but know your customer. So like say the organizations in insurance, mutual funds, stockbroking, and wherever investments are taking place and customer records need to be maintained. So these people are making their career. And it is more about technological, because you have to have functional competency of operating internet, your Microsoft Office applications and other ERP packages as such. So this is what applicable in the KYC domain. Next, when we take into consideration customer relationship executives or customer relationship managers, with the advent of retail organizations and modern organized retail sectors, like say your malls and all, they require customer relationship executives or customer relationship managers. And in days to come also, we are going to have many more retail organized retail related activities, and in that context we require these people at ground level to help the new customers and existing customers to carry out their business activities as such. So this is in nutshell what are the career opportunities available to undergraduates. But again, as I said, it is just exclusive list, it is not the complete and holistic, because if you go to Naukri or Monster or job portals, you find numerous openings, designations as such. But altogether, these are the most common sought after careers by the commerce and management graduates, because there would be some fancy names and nomenclature of your job. But when it comes to the next level of promotion and all, or next level of switching, those may not be applicable when it comes to the rapid progression of career. So this is with respect to undergraduation job opportunities. A quick look at postgraduate career opportunities. Though a couple of participants have completed or would be completing their post-graduation. Now, why post-graduation, or why we did mention about higher education? The reason is we are in the globalized context and integration is happening. And when we look at Western counterparts, that is our multinational companies from American or European context, they prefer 16 years of education when they recruit their employees and all. But in the Indian context, our education system is say 10 plus 2 plus 3, which makes 15 years. And it may or may not be say accepted and recognized by the many multinational organizations. So in order to have job opportunities and rapid career progressions and on-site, off-site job opportunities, post-graduation career is important. And even as we progress with our expertise, with our experience, in order to get a better designation and better managerial position, they ask for post-graduation because that is a norm what MNCs are following it across. So in that context, if you aspire to pursue your post-graduation in MCOM or MBA or any other post-graduation, that will give the added advantage because the entry-level salaries for UG and PG, there is almost drastic difference. And even the amount of time what you invest to complete your PG will reward you in terms of future career progression and promotions as such. So initially we have listed say the most highest or hierarchical oriented opportunities, like say the administrative officers or chief financial officer, auditing officer, actuary officer. So these will be available with PG with at least 5 years or more than 5 years of experience and professional competencies. But still, people with novel and highly intellectual capacity, they can develop and acquire these positions in a short span of their career beginning as such. So the administrative officer is nothing but your general manager who is looking after all the business activities. So you will get this kind of opportunity in private multinational private companies, multinational companies, or say entities of import, export, and international trade as such. Then even this chief financial officer, you are only looking after the financial aspects of your organization. Your auditing officer and actuary. Actuary is with respect to insurance, and they are playing very important role in the present context because today insurance sector has become more active because the customers and even the companies are not like earlier wherein the passive things were taking place. So the claim settlement and all will be done on a scientific basis with the help of actuaries, officers, and these people will play important role in the risk management, risk administration and risk controlling of insurance portfolios as such. Budget analyst, as we said, you are going to be say part and parcel of your corporate finance department, and you're trying to make the budget for your organization, and it includes both short-term, long-term, and different forms of budget for the companies are creating in days to come as such. So this is what about the higher level. As we go along, so it is the business consultants is the profile. If you look across the top MBA or commerce colleges, the placement which is happening and the record what they're giving, it is basically for these business consultants, because the management graduates and commerce graduates with PG, they'll be absorbed by your consulting organization. So if you name KPMG, or if you name Deloitte, or if you name Ernst & Young, so all these entities, they recruit you all as a business consultant because they have got requirement and clients, and they'll depute to those consulting assignments. So this is the most sought after career in the management schools in the present scenario. Business operation manager, it is generic. So based upon your functional area competency, you could become a sales manager or advertising manager or production manager, purchase manager. So here many horizontals and verticals we have got when it comes to the business operation managers. Certified public accountants. So these people are required in accounting firms because we are following international financial reporting system and standards wherein certified people are required in order to audit and prepare the financial accounts and financial statements of the listed entities. Cost estimators are needed in those organizations wherein project keys are taken, especially infrastructure companies or turnkey project companies require cost estimators, and they give the detailed costing of business activities, and they make better career for those who are coming from MCOM cost specializations. Business data analytics or business data or big data analytics. So this is the emerging field what we have got. And in the present context, many jobs which are offered by this Amazon or Microsoft or other e-commerce portals and also it is in this data analyst, and especially even this your social media organizations and all, or even the startups. So they're looking at business data analytics as the primary candidate for their business organization. So later again, we'll come into the new generation of careers. Going further, these are the most common traditional and longitudinal jobs what we have got. Financial analyst, investment banker, investment broker, investment analyst, marketing manager, and market researchers. Again, as we mentioned, in most of B schools and reputed commerce colleges, investment bankers and investment analysts. So these are also sought after jobs because after consulting assignment, the next best job is about the investment banking. And if you take up the story of Indian Institute of Management, so their consulting and investment jobs account to more than 60 to 65% of placements and all. And it is all because Indian students or Indian youth is very well versed with numerical standards and computational activities as such. So these are again the jobs available in the multinational companies and even in the Indian top organizations wherein they try to consider project investments and turnkey projects. Marketing manager, it is generic. So there are again different verticals and horizontals wherein advertising, then area managers, then sales promotion. So all these things are part of parcel of this marketing managers as such. Then the market research, again, it is part and parcel of business consulting and research and development department because companies are engaged in technological R&D, but at the same time they require market research because they must realize what is the pulse of market, what customer requirements, what customer demands they have got. And based upon those requirements, the proposals will be prepared for the future investment and future business forecasting. And the business organizations need to forecast and do a research on their regular context. If you take into consideration, like say again, as we quote Reliance Industries, say till now, they were dependent on the oil and petrochemical business. But in days to come, they're going to rely more upon the telecom, technology, and the retailing and all. And this is all because of the market research what they have done. In days to come, the demand for oil will be stagnated due to e-vehicles and environmental norms and all. So that is how the market research was done by the Reliance, and they're transforming into new generation business opportunities in days to come. So this is what applicable as such. Further, KPO, it is the extended version of your BPO, that is knowledge process outsourcing. And here we are looking at process associates, especially again as I named Infosys, Wipro, TCS, Cognizant, SCL Computers and all. So all these companies, they have got non-engineering requirement under KPO arms because they have got clients, and to make knowledge-oriented process activities, they require management and commerce students for doing this activity. And if you take into consideration General Electric or the American financial services entities like say Bank of America or American Express, all these entities, they have got KPO centers in Bangalore or in India to make a way for their business activities using the Indian youth over here. The next is personal financial advisors. It is more so about brokering and consulting firms again. Then the risk analysts, we have got a specialized field of risk analyst, and it is again part and parcel of your corporate finance department. And along with it, we have got risk forecasters, because your risk is evitable and it is need to be identified and managed well in advance. Otherwise, it will throw a big challenge across everybody. So these are the opportunities what we have got. Stock brokers we have discussed. Then the loan credit officers. So this is the new job opportunities what the banks are offering to. The reason is your private and public sector banks are witnessing more of non-performing assets. The loan or the credit what they are given, it is not performing well. So before advancing the loan or credit, the officers take due privilegence and they do thorough analysis of customers, and based upon the customer view and responses, they will be done on your loan and loan sanctioning and all. So this is what your loan and credit officer opportunity in the banking sector we have got. Teaching education for MCOM and MBA in the private or at the government, that is always open. But along with it, I would also throw a light. Those who have completed MCOM or MBA or any other post-graduation, even you can still consider opting for research. And UGC has better opportunities in the present context because of the fellowship and all. So if you pursue full-time research, you will be endowed with monthly or yearly fellowship, which is as equivalent to the entry-level salary what we get it across. Then the personal finance and entrepreneurship of the businessman. So this is something related to startups or taking and making your own employer rather than looking for the employment opportunities. So these are the opportunities in general available to the post-graduation students in both the domains, and these are again most sought after, but these are not only the limited as such. So these are considered from post-graduation perspectives. Now quickly, from the professional career opportunity perspective, as we mentioned, the commerce and management education is no more generic. It has become now a profession. Why it is assumed to be profession? Because people of same thought, people of same intellectual capability, they have come together, they have created their own association, and they have set forward certain standards and norms for practicing their activities. So chartered accountancy is the most sought after career by the commerce domain students. Even BBA students or management students can also pursue this CA, provided they have got better competency in terms of accountancy, costing, and mathematical sciences as such. This is about your chartered accountancy. The next is company secretaryship. This is also gaining momentum because as per the new norms and regulations of your SEBI and your company laws which were amended. So your company secretaries are required for almost joint stock companies with specific turnover and requirement as such. So this will have to consider, we have to consider from the corporate secretary perspective. CFA, that is Certified Financial Analyst, it is a specialized course wherein it is considering corporate level financial consideration, right from fundraising, fund allocation, fund mobilization, and how do we make better return on the employed fund. And it is more common and equivalent in your European context, that is Certified Financial Analyst as such. Then CMA, that is this Cost and Management Accountant, that is ICWA, is also a sought after career, because again the new amendments what we have got will look across the cost management accounting and auditing practices as such. So these people are also having a better career opportunities in the present and futuristic context. Then this BAT, that is your taxation and your auditing analyst as such. FRM, that is Financial Firm Risk Management Analyst, and ACC, that is Associate Certified Chartered Accountant. So these are from the international context what we have considered, and along with your graduation, you can go for this certified professional career opportunities. And as we're getting some chart post wherein they're asking for what is the process of chartered accountancy and all. So it is rightly said, it is foundation, intermediate, internship, and the final. So this is how it goes across, and it is a devoted practice what we have to make in order to make our professional careers. And with this professional career in your hand, you can be a partner of many international consulting firms like Deloitte or KPMG, Accenture, or you can do it on your own also. So it is no more about employment in this regard, it is more about professional partners, what you're going to be of international accounting, international taxation entities as such. So this is about the professional context opportunities we have got it. Now, finally, coming to new generation career opportunities, like we mentioned, we are going through this new industrial revolution 4.0, and we are also going through this technological transformation, and we say it is all about digitization. And I think now what we are doing, it is again one part and parcel of technological revolution. Previously, we used to have the seminars in a traditional manner, wherein we used to gather at specific location and we used to have this interaction. But now, due to technological advancements and due to some other challenges, we are doing it on this digital platform, and it has given new generation career opportunities to everybody. It is not only at the UG or PG, and it is not only restricted to commerce or management, but in respect almost all students in higher education have got the opportunities over here. So what are these new generation career opportunities as such? So social media manager, social media brand ambassadors, and search engine optimization analyst. We all are familiar with our e-commerce portal, like say the Amazon, Flipkart, or even social media like Facebook or WhatsApp and all. You must have done the shopping, and you are experienced how it works and all. So what the social media managers, brand ambassadors, and SEO are doing, they're referring to your past history, they're referring to your profile, and based upon that, they're creating advertisements. So say two of you, you can take a look at your Amazon account, you can open at the same time. There will be generic advertisement what they give you to you, but based upon your past history, based upon your past transaction behavior, they give you those specific advertisements and messages and all. And this is all done by this search media managers, social media managers, and SEOs. And even on your Facebook or even on your Instagram and all, whatever advertisements you get. So these are specifically designed and developed by these people. And it is not that you have to have a technical background in this regard. You have to have the analytical skills, which gives you the upper hand to pursue the career in this regard. The next is digital marketers. It is very broad and generic term, wherein you could be a digital market player, wherein you are be part of advertisement, you are part of sales promotion, or even you are part of event management as such. So your business marketing is done digitally, and you will be the manager for the same. Data scientist and data analyst. So this is the most important and futuristic job what we have got in the new generation. And for this, we require people from different background. It is not only engineering or technology. We require people from social science. We require people from commerce management stream in order to analyze the data related to the customer. So the data scientists or the data developers or the big data analysts. So these are the people who are going to make new career opportunities in days to come. And all these are absorbed by the startups or this new generation e-commerce portals and all. So these are making way to it, and it is how we are trying to make it. Then the podcast developers, it is nothing but you are making your audio streaming and making it possible on the online. I think we are looking at these animations or cartoons and all. So the background character voice or recording what it is there. So this is the podcast developers. And all these are assumed to be more of informal job opportunities, what we have got in the present context as such. Going further, this business associates with respect to artificial intelligence and machine learning. We are if you take into consideration a mobile, so it is smart enough, and it is equipped with artificial intelligence. It is equipped with that machine learning capabilities, because today's devices are smart, and the smart in the sense they have got capability of thinking on their own. So why do we require AI or ML? Because the business is going to be agile. Business is going to be 24/7. But human being cannot work for 24 hours. So we are making machines to work 24 hours, and we are making them to think alike us. And there is a thought, there is discussion also that AI ML will take away the jobs. So it is not true to a large extent, because AI ML will be created by human beings, and human beings have got the natural intelligence, and even the AI ML, it cannot beat the human natural intelligence. So we require people with high intellectual quotient, intellectual capabilities to be part of this AI and ML. Then developer evangelist. Now here, the people who have got better writing and articulative abilities, they can become the developer of evangelist, because companies do require people who will endorse, who will try to make the presentations as such. To make the presentation as such, and they try to make this development accordingly. So this evangelist, developer evangelist. So these are the people who will develop the content. They'll develop the promotional media for the business organizations as such. Then the content developers and the moderator. It is also considered by the media houses, that is the press and media, wherein they require more of content. And even this bloggers, as we have mentioned, they write views, they write comments, and they try to publish articles on particular product or particular service or particular company. So these are the new generation jobs what we have got. And virtual associates are nothing but you are working remotely, and you are trying to make a job which is not require your physical presence accordingly, because virtual associates are more common with the medical practitioners, and wherein that surgeries or operations are done on a robotic basis, because we require precision of highest order and the highest degree. And that context, these virtual associates are playing their role as such. So these are the people who make way for their developments as such, and they are creating the job opportunities for the people with the right skills and the sophisticated knowledge in the technological front as such. So this is all about the new generation career opportunities what we have got. And here, no doubt, you have to have a formal education as per the company's perspective, but it is more about your skills and your competency based. And to develop this skill and your competency, you have to do something beyond your routine syllabus. So you have to go for your online certification. You have come across MOOCs, you have come across NPTEL Swayam, or you have come across digital learning platform. So if you try to make a way and make your additional learning and skill development in this upcoming areas or domains, you have got better job opportunities and career domains as such. And we presume we don't have scarcity of job, but rather we have got scarcity of right people at the right time, because most of these jobs, they're assumed to be freelancing, and they're assumed to be say career of gigs, because your companies no more want to have say permanent employees in their payroll to give away the social benefits and all. Especially in the Western countries, if you take up the Google, Amazon, Apple, so they prefer these gig jobs wherein they try to hire you on a contractual basis, but they pay you very hefty remuneration for your association. And they only look at your skill sets, they only look at your competencies to do away with these jobs at virtual location on the technological platform as such. So this is what I have to say about the new generation career opportunities. But again, I've not gone into the much technicalities, because there are technical jobs which which will bring in the domain of management and commerce over here. So these are the career opportunities we have got, and we try to make a way to it. So this is more specifically from non-technical and perspective of commerce and management graduates as such. So this is what all about it. So we are open for the question answer session, and if anything specific we could consider.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Prasad, sir. There are some questions
Yes, sir.
raised by our participants.
Yes, sir.
Just I will go through one by one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There are some common questions are also there.
Yes, sir.
But based on that, I have taken some questions over here.
Okay, sir.
One of our participant
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. One of our participant, Rukmini Joshi.
Yes, sir.
She raised a question: how can take chances in IFS of public service? It means she's not clear about the degrees and how she can take. This is what her question.
Yes, sir. Like say, as we said, so this Indian Forest Services or Indian Foreign Administrative Services, IFA, IFS, basically, if you take IFS, that is Forest Services, basically they require BSc or MSc candidates for their generic requirement. But if students are there from commerce or management background, they can always look forward for the administrative jobs which are available in the forest offices. So
Yes,
again,
sir.
in that regard, we have to have a basic degree qualification from a recognized university with at least 60% to be always safe. And they have to go through that competitive examination, which they conduct on a roster-based system. Because in administrative domain, these forest services have got limited roles as such, because it is more about one person is trying to handle multiple office activities, because accounting, then budgeting, everything is done by that respective person. Unlike in other organization, they have got a domain specific. Accountant will be there, then there will be a purchase manager, there will be budgeting analyst. But here it will be more about the common person who will be doing it that way. I hope it is answer the question, sir. Even I think RRB is also discussed, that is Railway Recruitment Board. So there also, as we mentioned, this special administrative officer in the railway organization, you can always look forward for accounting officers and other administrative officers, because in railway accounts auditing officer, they play a major role, because railway board has got a vast network and requirements. So in that context also, commerce graduates will be more preferred by the railway boards for these examinations. Hello, Bharat sir. Yes, please.
Hello, sir. Hello, Prasad,
Yes,
sir. Myself,
Siddharth.
Siddharth. Sir, I have a question, sir. In order to take career opportunities in banking sectors,
Yes.
which PG course is important, like MBA or MCOM?
No, basically for the banking job, as we mentioned, like say this probationary officer is the most common. But even
Yeah.
if other officer job, if you're looking across, basic degree will be enough for it to fill the form and appear for the competitive exam. But if
No,
you
no, sir.
do,
In order to take a PG courses, which course is suitable among
I think in
MBA
that,
or
yeah,
MCOM?
in that case, MBA has got wider opportunities for the banking career. No doubt you
Okay.
can opt for this nationalized banks, but even international banks prefer MBAs in that regard.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
So I think Devraj M, he said, can we join lecturing after MBA? Yeah, yes. After completing your MBA, you can be a part of teaching and education. If you're looking at government recruitment, then obviously you have to clear the UGC NET examination, and that will give you that opportunity. But only with MBA or only with PG, you can always look after private education institutions for doing the job. So you can join at the BBA or MBA college as assistant professor or lecturer, depending upon the available opportunities. Now, I think Aditi Deshpande about the MBA course. MBA course is all about management, and any graduate with 55% with 50% of the marks, they are eligible to take up the entrance examination. Let's say why this entrance exam and all, because we have to rationalize the intake, and based upon your UG percentage and based upon your the entrance. Like say if you belong to Karnataka, then you can take up the postgraduate common PGCET, that is common entrance examination test. And if you are non-Karnataka, then you can take up say this KMET, that is private associations entrance. So once you take the entrance, you will be shortlisted based upon the ranking, and based upon the ranking, you will be allowed to select your course, that is your college of your own choice. And if it is allotted, then you can take the admission. But in order to take the admission in the management quota, you have to clear one entrance exam, and you can do a research of MBA college which are available in Belgaum or your area of preference, and you can directly approach them for the admission as such. And admissions for this MBA course and MCOM course, they already started for this current academic year, and they would give you the ample of opportunities in days to come, because at present, due to this COVID health issue and uncertain situation, the job market is more challenging, and they can always think of skilling themselves for the next 2 years to get better job opportunities as such. So I think that would give the answer to you. So the next, yes, sir.
I think you answered related to MBA question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay, sir.
That was one question about MBA, so I asked that.
Yes, yes,
There
sir,
is one more, yeah, one more question by Janvi Rao.
Yes,
Which is better, MCOM or MBA? So as we said, like say both have got their own scopes, their own aspiration. And if you're looking from career perspective and making it to a large extent, then MBA has got a international scope along with the national scope, because MCOM is considered only in India, but in Western countries and all this terminology we don't have. So both have got the equal opportunities, but when it comes to international context, I think MBA is more preferred over MCOM. And even there is one more question by Sonu. Which one is having more scope, that is MBA finance or MBA marketing? Again, I would say there is a notion that MBA finance means it is office job and MBA marketing means it is field job. Nothing like that. Both have got their own field and office jobs, provided you have got say the required skills what your employer or recruiter is looking at it. And it is your own domain, what you are considered as MBA finance or MBA marketing. But when you enter into the corporate world, you are going to be a general manager, because MBAs are assumed to be generalist rather than specialist as they go through the hierarchy of the job. Because first year of your employment you will be specific, but as you get more and more experience and as you progress, you will be responsible for all the business or administrative activities as such. So in that regard, there is a scope for both finance and marketing, but in general, your interest and your inclination is important. Now one more, I think Rukmini Joshi, handicapped person can take a public service. Definitely, ma'am, because I had not gone into that roster system and all. But obviously, with this basic, I think even with general category, we have to have at least 60% graduation marks and the top percentile in the entrance or competitive exam. But people with the special disabilities and all, they have got lesser percentage of marks and lesser cutoff also. So still you have got opportunities not only in IFS, but even in almost all public service examinations and all. And even I would go and take the liberty to say, even in the private organizations, as part of their corporate social responsibility, even they do give preference to people with say this special and physical disabilities, and they are no more considered as people with limited skills. They have got skills and even they have got the inclination to do so. So you can always go for it.
Yes, sir.
So can we take few more questions are there, or you can moderate to us?
Yes, sir. Some students asked related to, it's a B.Ed question actually,
Yes,
B.Ed
yes,
related.
sir. Yes, sir.
Can BCom students take B.Ed? This is what question. Can I answer this question, sir?
Yes, please, sir.
Sir, actually, as of now, BCom students can't take B.Ed.
Yes, sir.
In the present scenario.
Yes, sir.
But in the future, in the coming education policy, they
Yes.
have included even BCom students can also take the B.Ed.
Yes, sir. Means as we said, this new education policy,
Yes,
it is going to make way to this B.Ed, because basically B.Ed is about the education, and our notion was it is only the BSc and the BA, because they would be the school teachers to teach those elementary subjects, because commerce education is considered from your after elementary level. But in the new domain, no doubt B.Ed is going to be also considered eligibility for your BCom students, and even they can get the new generation employment opportunities also.
sir, and one more question. It is actually valid for all the students, those who are not equipped with good skills.
Yes, sir.
He has raised one question that most of the commerce students were unemployed. Why? They were working in shops and market, other areas.
Yes, sir.
His question related to skills. You can answer this, sir, please.
Yes, sir. So like basically, as we said, it is all about the knowledge we have got, no doubt, because the degree we have obtained. But the next thing is about the skills and the attitude. That makes very important when it comes to the interview, or when it comes to that one-on-one discussion with the employer or the recruiter, because no doubt looking at their marks, looking at their knowledge, they're very high on the quotient. But when it comes to those soft skills or those soft aspects, they try to lack in that. And that is the reason, no doubt there are, as we mentioned, because we are reading it in the newspaper and all, there are job losses or job reduction and all. But still, even in this crunch time also, there are many job opportunities with specific skill requirements and attitude, because with the right attitude, companies look forward companies recruitment policy, because no doubt the gold medalist or the merit students are highly good in the knowledge and their subject matter, but they may not be sometimes good at expressing and dealing and negotiating with the customers or their fellow clients. And that is the reason this limited employment opportunity is available in the present context, because the communication skill, because we have seen when presentations are given in the college, they try to shy away, they try to hesitate. But in days to come, when they're going to work for any company, public speaking is important. And without public speaking, they cannot convince or negotiate with their clients and all. So that is one thing. It is about skilling and attitude. Knowledge, no doubt, will acquire, but we have to develop our skills considering our core competency, and we have to express our attitude. Now, attitude in the sense, we have to take it in that right manner. It is not that we are arrogant or we are having some sort of superiority complex. So you have to show that you are positive, you are confident, you have got a learning attitude, and obviously you are ready to take challenges which are going to be there in the form of an opportunity. So this is what I would say, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, I think you answered this question. Which combination is in MBA as scope
Yes,
for the
yes, sir.
marketing, or you answered, I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Almost all questions have been answered.
Yes, somebody, I think Navneet Kulkarni is asking, so you can take up his question. He's asking for.
Hello.
Yes, is it Navneet Kulkarni?
Yes, this is Navneet Kulkarni.
Yeah, please,
First
please.
of all,
Yes,
thank you, sir, for enlightening us with this session. I
My
had
pleasure. Yes.
two doubts. First, a general one. Second, a pretty specific one. First of all,
Yes.
I'm pursuing BCom
Okay.
in under RCU, Rani Chennamma University. So,
Okay.
first doubt was in the very first slide you said Industrial Revolution 4.0 is automation.
Yes, yes.
Being automated. On the other hand, you were saying that we have job opportunities. But if you go by the new generation jobs, the entire point of automation is to reduce the manpower to the process of the production should get faster and it should be more accurate. So how come new jobs will be generated? I mean, yes, jobs will be generated, humans will be required, but in general, the gist of it is that the job should be reduced. So automation would be done faster because we cannot go automation with more humans. We need more machines. So how jobs? That is my first question. And second question was the UGC research fellowship. Could you throw more light upon it? Because I myself, I'm very interested in research. Until now, even during BCom, I have done 3 research papers which I have submitted. So I'll more on that. These are my 2 questions.
Okay, okay, Nonaji. Yeah, I'll take up your first question, that is regarding Industry 4.0. That is generic question, means why or how employment opportunities will be created. Yes, you are right in the perception, that is Industry 4.0 is going forward with automation. It is talking about robotics or artificial intelligence and all. And it is trying to reduce the people and bring in more machine to make it automated for quality, quantity, and mass production. But the actual practice is this automation and this Industry 4.0 will bring in job opportunities in the next level of progression. Because say in the manufacturing line, we had say blue collar workers with limited skills, and they used to do that assembling, they used to do those say non-core or value adding jobs as such. So these jobs will be done by the machines, and the next higher level jobs which are applicable to quality analyst, designing, and customization as per the customer requirements and all. So these will be taken care by this automation or machine learning or artificial intelligence. And even people across the world, even if you take up Apple, Google, or even Microsoft, they are saying that we are not eliminating the jobs, but rather we are creating new jobs in the next hierarchy of your employment. So basically, horizontally, we may not have much of opportunities now. We may not require 2 supervisors or 2 fitters or 2 crankshaft operators, but we require people with higher skills to do the qualitative and quantitative job as such. And that is the reason, as we said, skilling and competency building is important in this industrial 4.0 revolution. Whatever we mentioned, like say this new generation careers, these are open even at your doorstep, because if you just open up intern shala, or if you open up say this web portals, so there are freelancing jobs which are offered by all these multinational companies, and most of them, they are related to this futuristic technology. What it would do, it may not reduce or eliminate the job from the industry, but rather it will fine tune the jobs. What companies are doing, they're trying to train them, train their employees for the next level of responsibilities, next level of value addition. And nowhere where automation is considered, and they have made job reduction as such. So it is considered from the upskilling and new job roles and responsibilities in days to come. So this is how this industry revolution is going to go through. And we are witnessing this with the help of your automation and all, because the people who are not ready or rigid, they will be simply asked to take the voluntary retirement. And I think when computers were introduced in the banking sector in late 80s, early 90s, that time also there was a thought that one computer will take away 10 banking employee job. But I think even that time the bank didn't had any job problem or layoffs as such, because it was considered accordingly, and they were retrained to take up the next level of job responsibilities and opportunities as such. So only thing we have to look at, say what is required by the industry, and it is considering say your job requirements. So this is the question for the first answer. I hope, I think it will suit your question as such. The next, coming back to your UGC fellowship, as we said, like say in order to pursue your PhD, you have to either enroll for a university or institution where this doctorate program is offered, and better I would say your University Grants Commission, they conduct NET examination, that is National Eligibility Test. But you don't only restrict yourself for the NET, but rather while filling your form, and in order to avail your fellowship, you have to make your representation as JRF NET. So JRF is nothing but Junior Research Fellow with National Eligibility Test. Now, what and how is it? Your UGC conducts this examination, and they have got a cutoff. If you're able to crack the cutoff, you'll be eligible for lectureship anywhere in India. But suppose if you have done well, and if you are able to be ranked among the top 10 percentile, means the top 10 scorers, then you'll be allocated with the fellowship. And the fellowship at present with UGC ranges from 19,000 to 27,000 per month in different universities and different programs. And this JRF is applicable for first 3 years of your research, and you get a direct entry to the university doctoral program. And even it is not university doctoral program, even you can pursue your research or doctorate from reputed institutions also. For first 3 years will be JRF, and for the next 2 years will be SRF, that is Senior Research Fellow. So this fellowship will be applicable for 5 years, and within that you have to complete your research work. And as I said, for JRF it is 19 to 27,000. For SRF it is say 29,000 to 32,000 is what the per month fellowship is there. And you get annual 50,000 contingency grant for your publication, your research activities as such. So it is not only the UGC, but even your AICT and even this Minority Commission, they're coming out with many fellowships as such. And especially for female candidates, there are so many corporate fellowships also. Those also you can always consider. So hope, Naveen, this answer has justified your questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank
So
you.
all the
Thank
best to you. Yes, Bharat, sir.
One more question, sir,
Yes.
from Jayasri B.
Yes, sir.
Can commerce student can apply for Indian Air Force? This is what the question.
Yeah, let's say this Indian Navy or Indian Air Force, or rather Indian Defense. So as we said, they have got this Defense Administrative Service exams, sir.
Examinations.
Yeah, so commerce means BCom or MCom. They have got the opportunity to join them. And even in case of Indian Air Force, we have got cabin crew recruitment that is applicable to
Accounts jobs.
yeah, accounting job and even this ground handling jobs.
Yes.
Because this Air Force have got their own air bases. So those resource mobilization and other ground related activities these people can do. They have got auditor and accounting job is there. And
Yes.
along with that, that even cabin crew jobs are also applicable.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And I hope we answered almost all the questions, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Shall I end up the session, sir?
Sure, sir, sure. So
Yeah.
lastly, I would say thank to the all participants for their patience listening, and I hope the session would have given some insights and enlightening their career opportunities. But still, I would suggest in this crunch time, they could always think of higher education in their respective domain to get a better job in days to come. So all the best, all the participants, and I thank Nirmala ma'am, Nagvani ma'am, Bharat sir for this opportunity to deal and interact with the participants of respective domains. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Sir, thank you very much. I would like to thank today's resource person, Dr. Prasad Dadikar, and also all the management of Bhartesh Education Trust and management of SSS Samitis. Special thanks to Sri Jagadish Savadati sir, and very special thanks to our beloved principal, Professor Nirmala I. Gadar, given an opportunity. And also I thank the system admin of BETGBS and also all our faculty members who have supported for this webinar. And lastly, I would like to thank all the participants who have joined this webinar and benefited it. Any questions, anytime you can mail me or mail to Prasad sir, even we try to answer. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.